In a time long before humanity's dawn, alien races roamed the vast reaches of the universe, exploring the unknown. On the picturesque planet of Samaris, Mills cherishes a moment with his daughter Navine, watching her play on the sandy beach. He confides in his wife Alia about accepting a daring 2-year exploration job, a departure from his usual shorter runs. The reason? He desperately needs the extra money to fund Navine's treatment for a mysterious illness that has plagued her. Despite the weight of his decision, Mills takes a moment to share a special bond with Navine, teaching her how to whistle with her hands, a simple yet precious memory. But soon, Mills finds himself at the helm of a ship, leading a crew in cryogenic sleep through the vastness of space. Then, without warning, disaster strikes. The ship is pummeled by meteorite activity, causing chaos and destruction. Mills springs into action, rushing to the cockpit, urgently sending out an emergency signal. With nerves of steel, he fights to guide the crumbling ship towards the nearest planet, determined to save his crew and salvage the mission. The ship splinters into 2 parts, and Mills can only watch as the inevitable crash approaches. Thoughts of his daughter weigh heavily on his mind before he loses consciousness. When Mills comes to, he hears the ship's computer announcing they are in an unknown location. He realizes he has a piece of shrapnel lodged in his stomach, and with grim determination, he removes it, cauterizing the wound despite the excruciating pain. Putting on his astronaut suit, Mills begins to investigate the ship for damage and makes a heartbreaking discovery: the cryochamber is compromised, and none of his crew survived. Arming himself with a laser gun for protection, Mills leaves the ship and steps into a pool of water where a mysterious creature swims around him. He also finds the lifeless bodies of his crew, further adding to his devastation. Mills thoroughly checks the ship for any salvageable resources and realizes that the escape pod is on the other half of the ship that has landed elsewhere. He sends out another distress signal, stating that he is in uncharted territory, feeling trapped and despondent. Overcome with despair, Mills contemplates ending it all, but the memories of Navine, his daughter, stay his hand. He gathers all the tapes with the messages she has sent him, desperate to hear her voice again. Just as he is about to lose hope, the ship's computer detects a working capsule nearby, sparking a glimmer of hope in Mills's heart. Mills is taken aback when he discovers Koa, the passenger he thought was lost, alive inside the ship. Without hesitation, he quickly frees her from the vessel. As they make their way back to their ship, Mills notices a massive paw print on the ground, revealing that they have traveled back in time to Earth 65 million years ago, where dinosaurs roam freely. With nightfall approaching, Mills and Koa reach their ship and spend the night. Mills is plagued by dreams of Navine, demanding to know his whereabouts. The following morning, Mills is resolute in his determination to escape and save Koa. He utilizes the ship's computer to locate the other half of their vessel, but the scan fails to pinpoint its location. Mills ventures outside to survey the area and comes across enormous bones, a testament to the perilous nature of the local predators. He is inadvertently struck by a scorching blast from a geyser, a phenomenon he has never encountered before. After recovering, Mills spots a glimmering object in the distance, realizing it is the other half of their ship on a distant mountain. Confirming its location with a scan, Mills contemplates his path when he is unexpectedly attacked by a small dinosaur. After a fierce struggle, Mills manages to defeat the creature with his gun. As he listens to more noises emanating from the woods, Mills investigates further and discovers that Koa has left the ship. The moment she spots him, Koa begins to flee, and Mills gives chase until they both tumble down a ledge, where they stumble upon the corpse of a large dinosaur. Abruptly, the trees quiver and Mills's eyes widen as he spots an immense creature approaching their location. With swift reflexes, he grabs Koa and urgently pulls her back to the safety of their ship. As he tends to the wound she suffered from their earlier fall, Mills attempts to explain the gravity of their situation. However, to his dismay, he realizes that they don't share the same language and their ship's translator is malfunctioning. Determined to convey his message, Mills takes out a tablet and spreads a red powder on it, drawing a picture of a mountain with a pod to signify that they must make their way there to escape. Koa, understanding the word family, joins him and sketches her parents on the tablet. In order to keep her calm, Mills fibs and assures her that her family is in the mountain as well. Afterwards, Mills sends out another SOS message, stating that he has found a survivor, while Koa busies herself with finding recordings of someone named Navine. As she watches the recordings, a revelation unfolds. Navine's illness worsened during the first year of their journey, and she had to be sent to the hospital. Her initial messages were filled with happiness and pride for her dad, but over time, she grew resentful as he was not there for her. When Mills discovers Koa watching the tapes, he promptly turns them off and announces that they must leave. Gathering enough supplies in his bag, Mills and Koa set off on foot through the wilderness, taking care to remain silent to avoid attracting predators. Despite the grueling journey, Mills is always there to assist Koa whenever she falls or needs anything, and with each interaction, they grow closer. One afternoon, Koa spots something peculiar, a red glow in the sky. However, she refrains from commenting on it. Eventually, Koa becomes bored with the long trek and mischievously plucks berries from a bush to pelt at Mills, just to tease him. Annoyed, Mills uses his scan to reveal that the berries are poisonous, and sternly orders Koa not to tamper with them. Later, a massive insect lands on Mills' neck, and as he swats it away with his hand, he is horrified to find his fingers coated in a repulsive, sticky substance. Mills attempts to rid himself of the goo by wiping his hand on a nearby tree, but the substance proves to be incredibly resilient, causing him to lose his balance and fall, with a piece of bark clinging to his hand. Koa bursts into laughter at the sight, and Mills, in retaliation, playfully tries to touch her with his soiled hand. However, their playful exchange is cut short when a small tree collapses in front of them, accompanied by strange noises emanating from behind a ledge. As they investigate, Mills and Koa discover a small dinosaur trapped in a pit of the same sticky substance. Koa is filled with compassion and rushes to help the creature, despite Mills' concerns for her safety. Unable to dissuade her, Mills ends up assisting her to free the dinosaur more quickly. The grateful creature takes a few steps before being ambushed by a group of predators that swiftly kill it. Mills swiftly pulls Koa into a hiding spot to spare her from witnessing the gruesome scene, but she can still discern what is happening and breaks into tears. Once the predators have departed, Mills and Koa resume their journey, pausing by a waterfall to replenish their water supply and clean themselves. Mills is worried about the condition of his stomach wound, but watching Koa's resilience reminds him of Navine, giving him the motivation to persevere. Koa finds some beautiful flowers and playfully pesters Mills until he relents and allows her to place one in his hair. Minutes later, Mills' scanner loses the signal for the mountain's location, prompting him to climb a tree for a better vantage point and rescan the area. Abruptly, Mills discovers a bug crawling on his hand and instinctively shakes his arm to rid himself of it. However, the sudden movement causes the branch he is perched on to snap, and he plummets to the ground, dislocating his arm upon impact. With Koa's assistance, Mills attempts to reset his arm against a tree, but their efforts are interrupted by the approach of a group of dinosaurs drawn to the noise. In a desperate bid to speed up the process, Mills instructs Koa to step on his arm for the final adjustment, and once his arm is back in place, he immediately reaches for his gun and opens fire on the approaching creatures. Urging Koa to run, Mills activates several small bombs that eliminate half of the dinosaurs, while he dispatches the remaining survivors one by one. Meanwhile, Koa finds herself confronted by a swarm of flying dinosaurs, and she crawls towards a tree to seek refuge. However, the creatures from earlier discover her hiding spot, and just as they are about to attack, Mills arrives and swiftly dispatches them. But there is one creature that manages to grab Koa from behind and tries to drag her away with its tail. Mills intervenes and scares off the creature with a well-aimed shot. However, Koa is now understandably frightened and distant towards Mills, prompting him to give her some space and patiently wait for her to calm down. As night falls, Mills remembers a trick he used to soothe Navine and begins to whistle, to which Koa responds with her family's own unique whistle, finally willing to continue their journey. After a long trek, the duo finds shelter in a cave for the night. Mills takes precautions by setting up sensors to alert them of potential dangers and uses his scanner to observe the sky, only to realize that the meteorite is nearby. Although it appears to be a small one, Mills remains unperturbed. Koa surprises Mills by revealing that she has brought one of Navine's tapes with her. Initially angry, Mills eventually gives in and plays the tape, finding comfort in Navine's voice, which also soothes Koa. However, as Mills tries to sleep, he is plagued by memories of the day Alia informed him of Navine's death at the hospital, and he finds himself overcome with grief. During the night, Mills is awakened by the blaring of the sensors, indicating an imminent threat. Upon checking on Koa, he discovers a bug that has entered her mouth, and he quickly uses a tool to eliminate it, causing Koa to cough out the remains. As the sensors continue to sound, a massive dinosaur appears outside the cave. Mills fires a few shots at it before grabbing Koa's hand, and the two of them flee through a small hole at the back of the cave. The duo rushes forward, searching for an escape route, oblivious to the fact that a smaller dinosaur is tailing them. After traversing narrow passages and walking for a while, they are disheartened to find themselves at a dead end. Mills attempts to dig a hole between two rocks to create an exit, but his progress is slow, and he eventually gives up. This infuriates Koa, who insists on trying herself, repeatedly saying, "family," despite Mills' attempts to explain that they are all dead. Realizing that he lacks the proper tools, Mills has a sudden idea. He uses some of the bombs in his possession to blast a hole large enough for a child, and then gives the remaining bombs to Koa for her safety as she ventures out to explore. Koa successfully crawls through the narrow hole and confirms that there is enough space on the other side. Mills eagerly attempts to follow her, but to his dismay, the hole suddenly collapses, severing his contact with Koa. Frustrated, Mills yells out in desperation, just as he hears the approaching footsteps of the dinosaur. He quickly retrieves his gun and retreats to the previous cave, using his scanner to track the creature's movements. As the dinosaur attempts to attack him from behind, Mills anticipates its movements and starts firing at it. However, the dinosaur manages to strike him, causing him to drop his gun. Despite being bitten on the arm by the beast, Mills valiantly fights back until he is able to reach his scanner. He activates a high-pitched screeching sound that hurts the dinosaur's ears, momentarily distracting it. Seizing the opportunity, Mills retrieves his gun and successfully kills the creature. Meanwhile, Koa manages to make her way outside and explores the forest alone. She comes across a massive bone that she can use as a weapon and wraps it with poisonous berries and a large leaf, storing it in her bag. A few minutes later, Mills finally emerges from the cave and uses his scanner to realize that the meteorite he had seen earlier was just a fragment of a larger one that is now hurtling towards their location, posing a disastrous threat of vanishing within a few hours. Without wasting any time, Mills rushes to find Koa upon hearing her scream as a dinosaur approaches her. Koa, in a panic, hides inside a tree trunk while Mills runs towards her, but unfortunately, he trips and falls into a pit of quicksand. He desperately calls out for Koa, but the quicksand slowly engulfs him, rendering him unable to speak. Despite the dire situation, Koa hears Mills' call and musters up her courage. She waits for the dinosaur to enter the tree trunk and then hurls bombs at it, successfully killing the beast. With the threat eliminated, Koa carefully approaches the quicksand and extends a tree branch to help Mills escape. The duo reunites with a heartfelt hug, and Mills explains the gravity of the meteorite situation to Koa, urging her to join him in making a final push to reach safety. As evening falls, they finally reach the base of the mountain. Mills ties a rope around Koa, and she skillfully climbs up first, securing the rope around trees and rocks to bear Mills' weight as he ascends. Within moments, they discover the other half of the ship, and Mills immediately activates the computer to confirm that a rescue vessel is en route. Meanwhile, Koa searches for her family and discovers the wreckage of the cryotanks, filled with rage at Mills for his deception. She breaks down in tears, and Mills reveals that he lost his own daughter, Navine, while on a previous job, and he can't bear to let that happen again. Overcome with emotion, Koa embraces Mills as he apologizes for his actions. Suddenly, smaller meteorite fragments begin to rain down on Earth, prompting Mills and Koa to race towards the emergency pod for shelter. As Mills reaches for the launch button, disaster strikes. A meteorite slams into the ship, sending the pod hurtling down the mountain and knocking Mills and Koa unconscious. When Koa awakens first, she frantically tries to launch the pod, only to be met with a frustrating error message. Mills begins to stir as a massive dinosaur arrives on the scene, attacking the pod with relentless ferocity. With the gun lying outside the pod, Mills risks leaving its safety to retrieve it, only to discover that it's not working. As a second dinosaur joins the fray, Mills takes cover behind a piece of the damaged ship and swiftly repairs the gun's configuration. The dinosaurs close in, but Koa takes quick thinking to a whole new level. She grabs the Navine tape and plays it on the scanner, creating a hologram of Mills' daughter outside the ship. Mills is overcome with emotion, thinking he's seeing his beloved daughter one last time before his impending demise. But the ruse works, and the dinosaurs fall for it, attacking the hologram instead. Seizing the opportunity, Mills emerges from his hiding spot and dispatches the first creature with deadly accuracy, while the other continues to push the ship in an attempt to reach Koa. Mills quickly shifts his focus and lands well-aimed shots, taking down the second dinosaur. Thanks to the creature's unwitting assistance, the pod is now positioned correctly for launch. Prior to Mills' arrival, the creature he had previously shot in the cave re-emerges and gives chase. Quick on his feet, Mills devises a plan and heads towards the geysers. With precise timing, he maneuvers the dinosaur to walk into a scalding blast of water, but the creature remains largely unscathed. Just as things seem dire, Koa arrives on the scene and plunges a bone weapon into the dinosaur's eye, causing it to thrash about in pain. The wounded dinosaur inadvertently steps onto another geyser, and the resulting blast sears through its stomach, ultimately resulting in its demise. With the immediate danger vanquished, Mills and Koa rush back to their pod just as the meteorite strikes Earth, spelling doom for the dinosaurs. The pod successfully launches into space, guided by autopilot to the designated rendezvous point where a rescue vessel awaits. As they make their way home, Mills closes his eyes and imagines reuniting with Navine, finding solace in Koa's comforting presence as she holds his hand.